My name is Maria Matimikka-Blue and I come from University of Oulu, and it's actually 6G, 6Genesis, not 3. So this 6G is about the 6th generation of mobile communication networks. And one of the flagships was given to University of Oulu. It's the only stakeholder in this, running this show of the 6G flagship. And Oulu is famous for radio, for wireless communications, for all the industry there is around wireless connectivity. So in that sense, it was not a surprise that when we are looking into the Finnish high-tech, high-science flagships, then the wireless connectivity thing is in Oulu. And now I'll give you some insight into what we are looking there. So the starting point for this 6G flagship is to look into the future, like 10 years ahead from now. You all have heard that 5G networks are coming into use right now. The operators are building them globally, and the first phones are on sale there, and you can start to become a 5G customer. So the research domain is already looking 10 years ahead, what comes after 5G. It's 6G, and then we look into the year 2030 and think about the world, what it looks like. And we see that it's data-driven, and data-driven in all possible aspects, and this is enabled by near-instant, unlimited wireless connectivity. We have a vision video, there's no time to look at that, but you will get the slides and you will see the link there. So this 6G flagship run by University of Oulu, it's a joint effort with a lot of companies right now involved and the public sector. And we are looking into 4 different strategic research areas. The biggest one is wireless connectivity, what the wireless connectivity solutions in the future could look like. And then since we are operating wirelessly in different radio spectrum frequency bands, and we are going towards higher and higher frequencies, that calls for totally new materials for realizing these new wireless devices. And at the same time, as you saw, the AI, machine learning, that's becoming more and more important all the time. Then the computing that happens in the devices, in the network, how that is distributed among the different elements, that's a big research question at the moment. So there's a lot of research needed on distributed computing technologies. And then the services and applications. So what are the future services that we will be using? For example, more and more vertical specific services are emerging, forestry related, agriculture related, industry related, all those services. Those are already coming in 5G. So what we actually are doing in this 6G flagship, the first goal, of course, is to support companies in the finalization of the 5G standard. So the first standard version was published like a year or 2 years ago. Evolution continues. The first devices are coming into the market, but that's not yet ready. That whole thing will keep on evolving. The companies are spending a lot of money on future editions of the 5G devices and networks. So we are supporting them in the finalization of the standard, and especially doing trials and demonstrations of 5G, in particular in the different vertical sectors. Like in Oulu, we have the Port of Oulu and Nokia factory, which are our case studies for how to use 5G in verticals. At the same time, we have started the development of fundamental technology components needed for 6G, like 10 years from now. And the entire goal of this activity is to help the society in the digitalization of the various sectors. And one important building block for this is the 5G test networks that exist in Oulu and in other parts of Finland, which are heavily used also by companies to test their 5G solutions. So the strategic research areas, I think these are not so important in this event, but for example, considering the wireless connectivity, today we are using mobile phones and laptops. They are connected to the internet. But in the future, this wireless connectivity, there are more and more devices that need to be connected wirelessly. How that will be done efficiently will call for a number of different solutions for the situations. And then new devices and circuit technologies, new materials technologies will be needed to implement these new systems. For example, if we have devices that look totally different from today's mobile phones, the new materials are needed there. And then the intelligence is coming towards the users, the devices. So there are big changes also in the network architecture. And finally, the applications, they call for deeply multidisciplinary research across the different verticals, because we need to know the application areas if we are developing solutions for their problems. So what has happened, a couple of weeks ago, we published the world's first 6G white paper. It's a collaboration effort between our researchers at the University of Oulu and also a lot of other industry and research people from all over the world. There's a link that you can download, or you can even Google just 6G white paper and this will come up. It's the only 6G white paper that there is. And in March in Levi, we organized the world's first 6G wireless summit, where all the major stakeholders, including leading telecom players, for the first time ever, they talked about their visions for the future on 6G. And as a result of that activity, we had a one-day workshop thinking about the 6G net systems, and then the white paper is a result of this brainstorming activity. And a new version will be done like every year. So what is the main message in this white paper? Data-driven, hyper-connected future society is the direction where we are going into. And then major drivers in the 6G development. For the first time ever, we should look into the sustainable development goals and societal challenges to drive the development of the next generation mobile communication networks. Some green communication things and energy things were considered in 4G and slightly in 5G, but now we really have to take this seriously when we are even starting to talk about 6G. And then we need all the stakeholders together. And we also see that the landscape is changing. There will be new players in the market who will be then driving this development. We should not wait for the big mobile network operators to drive this development as in the previous generations, but we need now new stakeholders in defining that. So there are the drivers that already mentioned, but one important thing that University of Oulu has been very heavily pushing in a global scale is already in 5G the emergence of local 5G networks for vertical specific service delivery. And this is something we initiated some years ago, and now it's happening. It's coming in Germany, in some other countries. It's becoming a reality that different stakeholders can establish their own local 5G networks. Then there they can run whatever services they need. And then the stakeholder roles, they are seen to change. There will be the infrastructure on top of which these applications and services are running. And there will be a lot of different assets, computing assets, communications asset, but then the data in the different application domains, that will be the fuel driving the development. And new roles will definitely emerge. And when we were looking into the different aspects, this Bestley analysis for the 6G, we realized that data market is the big thing driving this. It's happening in 5G, but there are a lot of restrictions on how this data is shared. And when we are doing these practical applications in the verticals, that has become the major bottleneck. Nobody wants to share their things unless they all benefit from that. And that needs a careful consideration. And many of the key performance indicators that are traditionally used for mobile communication networks, they are mainly about higher data rate, more capacity, faster download times. That's the existing, what the operators are currently selling. But in the future, there will be we need to define new KPIs starting from the soft side, from the societal and sustainable development goals aspects. And 6G will be a different network. It will combine communications, traditional communications, with all different kinds of devices doing different things. Positioning, sensing capabilities, data coming from very different sources, a huge amount of data, and then combining them and making that available. That will result in totally new applications that we don't even know what they could be. So finally, the second 6G Wireless Summit will be held again in Levi in March, and that's where the 6G global discussions will then continue, and everybody is welcome to attend that event. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very